Welcome back to the PEWPEW Zone. This is your host, Mike. In this video, I'm going to talk about my 5 craziest shotgun models. As most everyone knows by now, a shotgun is a long-barreled firearm which shoots a straight-walled cartridge known as a shotshell. Shotshell ammunitions typically discharge a number of small, sphere-shaped sub-projectiles known as shot, which allows for hitting several targets with one shot, or occasionally, the ammo is a single solid projectile known as a slug. Who'd never want to have a shotgun? From its inception in the 19th century, shotguns haven't changed that much in basic form and function, unlike today's other guns which have evolved rather drastically. The military began using them, but gradually used them less and less. With a shotgun, what works just works. And throughout its history, there's only been a few times when some crazy idea comes up which results in a crazy shotgun model. Today, we are going to look at 5 of some of the crazy shotguns developed for the United States military, although the majority of these ideas were never implemented. Therefore, they had quite brief lifespans that only a few dedicated shotgun historians and enthusiasts would know of. Number 5. Remington 7188, the full-auto shotgun. In the Vietnam War in the 1960s, there were quite a variety of firefights. Vietnam provided a diverse setting, much like most countries where battles are waged. However, some regions of the nation were nothing but a harsh, dense jungle. Thus, plenty of fights were at close range, and shotguns had an advantage. Shotguns could be extremely effective against moving targets at close ranges, and the fact that they could fire multiple projectiles at once increased their hit potential. But, in the humid jungles of Vietnam, shotguns at the time simply weren't up to the task. So, the Remington 7188 was created as a result. Of all the strange shotguns on this list, the Remington 7188 is the most typical. With its wood furnishings and straightforward design, it has a very modest appearance, almost like the family shotgun that was always kept hanging above the door in the study. The 7188 was essentially just a standard Remington 1100 with some slight modifications. It had the same simple features like an extended magazine tube, a bayonet mount, a barrel shroud, but with the ability to fire fully automatic. Unlike the 1100, the Remington 7188 was built with a select fire mode to go from semi-auto to full auto with the flip of a switch. In full auto mode, a 12-gauge shotgun would be pretty hard to handle, but the rate of fire was rather slow and controllable. With only 8 rounds in its mag, the shots depleted rather quickly. But this gun allowed a commando to blast away a lot of shots in mere seconds. Unfortunately, even the 7188 wasn't always reliable, especially in the unforgiving jungles of Vietnam. Number 4. The Special Operations Weapon, or SOW. Carroll Childers was a mechanical engineer who worked at the Naval Special Warfare Center in Virginia. Childers helped design and develop a variety of weapons for America's military fighters. The Special Operations Weapon, or SOW, wasn't a mainstream project by the Navy, which did not finance its development. Childers got some money from here and there and designed the SOW while working on other projects. The SOW started the idea of making crazy shotguns that you will see in this video. Childers had developed the mag-fed Remington 870, so he later took the mag from the 870 and fitted it to the SOW. The SOW ended up being a full-auto shotgun designed to be fired from the hip, like you'd see portrayed in movies from the 1980s. The SOW featured 2 pistol grips and a top-loading magazine. The mag held 20 rounds of 12-gauge and it almost tripled the firepower of the Remington 7188. The SOW utilized a very controllable 200 rounds per minute firing rate. That's slow enough to easily fire a round at a time. The full auto action still allowed the user to blast away through the jungle at opposing forces. It would have made a great fully automatic shotgun, but sadly, this one never made it past the prototype stage. Number 3. AA-12, a real action movie shotgun. Developed in 1970 by Maxwell Atchison, the AA-12, or Auto Assault 12, made it farthest in development of all the crazy shotguns on this list. In fact, people are still trying to get a contract for its full production. As with all the other unorthodox shotguns on this list, the AA-12 offered shooters a mode selection. The AA-12's development began in the 1970s, and over time, the weapon evolved into a modern shotgun that would make the M16 really proud. To keep both weight and recoil in check, a liberal use of polymer in the weapon construction and a unique forced gas-operated API blowback system were put in place. And to make sure that plastic hulls wouldn't melt in the chamber, the weapon was designed to fire from an open bolt. To keep it controllable yet rapid, it was set to a firing rate of 300 rounds per minute. The magazine-fed action allowed it to be quickly reloaded. Magazine capacities ranged from 8-round box magazines to 20 and even 32-round drums. A variety of ammunition was produced for the gun, including frag mini-grenade fragmentation rounds. These explosive rounds in a fully automatic mode virtually made the shotgun a rapid-fire mini-grenade launcher. If you've been watching action movies with a keen eye, you could spot the AA-12 in films like Predator 2010 and The Expendables 2 2012. Number 2. HKCAWS, the 12-gauge of the future. In the 1980s, the military launched a search for their program called the Close Assault Weapon System, or CAWS, which would use 12-gauge ammunition that would not be compatible with commercial 12-gauge. The CAWS program spat out 2 different shotguns. The first we'll mention is the Heckler & Koch CAWS. As required by the U.S. military, the weapon used a 10-round box magazine of 12-gauge ammo that was 76 millimeters long. Olin developed a 3-inch shotgun shell for the CAWS that was belted brass, each with 8 tungsten pellets. These pellets could penetrate 1.5 millimeter of steel plate, which is pretty impressive for a shotgun. The shells could also load standard buckshot and fléchettes, in case the user needed to punch a big hole. HK provided their CAWS version with selective fire capability, and it used a recoil-operated design with a self-regulated gas assist. The barrel moved with the bolt for a short period as the weapon cycled, and gas helped with the recoil. However, this futuristic concept didn't go past the CAWS program. Number 1. AAI CAWS. Like the other shotguns in this video, the AAI is a 12-round 12-gauge shotgun with 2 firing modes, semi-auto and full auto. It is the other significant entry in the U.S. 1982 CAWS program. AAI stands for Aircraft Armaments Inc., which is originally an aerospace and defense development and manufacturing firm. During Vietnam and the latter half of the Cold War, AAI designed tools like the famed M203 grenade launcher that would mount beneath the barrel of a rifle. So it wasn't all about weird shotgun designs. In fact, the AAI CAWS was a fairly modest entry to the CAWS program. AAI uses a standard layout with an M16 stock and a pistol grip with a 12-round magazine. The weapon employed a recoil-operated system with a selective mode option. AAI's CAWS used a load it invented in the 1970s called Scimitar, which was an experimental military shotgun ammunition. It was a variation on fléchette ammunition, but instead of containing a bundle of tiny needle-like steel darts, the cartridge contained a stack of razor-edged, stamped sheet metal arrow shapes designed to fly aerodynamically. It was considered to be very promising in terms of lethality and effective range. These fléchettes are brutal at close range and fin-stabilized for a great overall range. The Scimitar shell was slightly shorter than most standard shotgun shells, so the magazines could be shorter and easier to handle. The AAI CAWS could cut through 3 millimeters of low-carbon steel, but were prohibitively expensive to manufacture, so it has never been mass-produced. Again, sadly, the AAI CAWS perished with the CAWS project. Despite being very promising, all of these crazy shotguns never made it past the design and testing stages and into the approved-for-production phase. There's not much of a real issue here, as shotguns will always be shotguns. There's actually not much need to improve on their basic form and function. Even so, it's always exciting to see what engineers come up with, and who knows what the future may hold. And that's our video for today. If you have additional info on any of the shotguns in this video, let me know by commenting down below. Please click on the like, share, and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you in the next video.